I've also invited now another presenter to make a presentation, and she's Teresa Simmons, the Regional Manager of the Asia Pacific Regional Office of the Good Shepherds International Foundation. We have 49 Good Shepherd members who are participating in our training. And she was sharing with me how the Good Shepherd Asia Pacific has organized bi-weekly sessions over the last 6 months on 6 Good Shepherd position papers: migration, trafficking, the girl child, prostitution, economic justice, and integral ecology. I've invited her to share with us the evolving mission of the Good Shepherd Network and its impact on their projects from an advocacy perspective. Over to you, Teresa.
Thank you so much, Tino. I will now share screen. I hope you can see my screen. Is it all right? Okay, thank you so much. I want to express gratitude to Tino for this invitation to share at this platform on the Good Shepherd Sisters and what we are doing in terms of the rights-based approach. I will not share our works because we are in 72 countries and it's really too much to share, but I would like to share the process that we are currently undertaking to shift from where we are to the rights-based approach. We draw inspiration from our founder, St. Mary Euphrasia, who was truly a social activist during her time. She broke boundaries, she was audacious. You know, she was really a woman that was beyond her time, a visionary and a prophetic person. So we draw inspiration from our founders, and also within the Good Shepherd congregation, our social justice issues are guided by 6 position papers that we have, which Tino just mentioned. And these 6 position papers evolved out of our work within the congregation on migration, trafficking, prostitution, the girl child, economic justice, integral ecology. And the first time these papers were produced was in 2011 from our Justice and Peace Office in New York. By the way, Good Shepherd also has ECOSOC status at the UN. And it was revised again in 2018, bringing in contemporary issues and issues that were evolving at the UN level and globally as well. So our justice positions are anchored on these 6 position papers, and also the congregational direction that we had in 2015 when we had our the general chapter was a very clear guideline to all our programs in Good Shepherd to develop clear strategic plans integrating spirituality and justice and peace with good ministry practices, holding ourselves accountable to monitor and evaluate the results. So if we look at where we are and where we want to go, it was very clear to the congregation that we wanted to examine where we are coming from, and therefore the spirituality, what drives us as Good Shepherd, and looking at the social justice issues and saying, how do we address root causes and systemic injustices? And at the same time, looking at our programs and saying, are our programs rights-based? Are our programs based on good ministry practice? So we were on this evolution of moving from a charity-based approach to a needs-based approach to a rights-based approach. For most of us, like in the first session when we had this training, we were asked, our programs on rights-based, are we a needs-based? And there was a combination of different responses, and that is very similar to Good Shepherd as well. When we look at this congregation direction statement, our position papers, we realized that these 2 direction statements were calling us to a rights-based approach where we address the issues surrounding women and children, in particular girls and communities, on the 6 position papers that we have, issues surrounding these program participants, the surrounding society, the family, and also bringing up the issues right up to policy level, right up to the government, right up to the UN level. And we realized that we were at very, very different stages in the congregation, depending on the location of our programs, which country we were located in, the systemic issues that surrounded our own programs, the political issues that were surrounding the Good Shepherd ministries in the different places. So if we were based in, say, the US or Australia, New Zealand, and places where the rights-based approach is part of the system, then it was easier to be rights-based. Assuming we are in countries where we are still transiting from a military junta situation, where social justice is very challenging, then it was also very challenging for the program to be rights-based. As we were discovering all this, we also realized that the rights-based approach is actually the Catholic social teachings. The Catholic social teachings also underpin the rights-based approach. So I want to share with you these 4 quadrants of change and the questions that we constantly ask ourselves in Good Shepherd. And if you're hearing me speak at this moment and you're wondering, if I'm listening to all the speakers speak, how do we actually get there from where we are to a rights-based approach? What I'm sharing with you now is the 4 quadrants of change. Starting from on the left, you will see the internal structures, which is quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. And to the right, we have the external, which is quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. Don't worry if you are finding it difficult to follow. The slides are with Tino and he will share with all of you. And we have here at the top half of this quadrant, the individual, and the bottom half, the collective. We all know, you and I, that for any change to happen, the first change needs to happen in the change maker. And that shift in consciousness in each one of us needs to happen before the entire system that we are in is able to shift. So the first quadrant that we always ask ourselves as Good Shepherd is, where am I in my own value system and thinking based on a rights-based approach? How do I view the program participants who are coming to Good Shepherd for the interventions that we can offer? Do we see these individuals as individuals who deserve help, or are they individuals who have rights and are entitled to rights? When this shift happens, we actually find that our own paradigm shifts, and when we look at the person, the interventions that we offer shifts. And it offers from just offering interventions that address manifestations. It makes us ask the questions, why is this happening to this individual? What are the individual's rights that have been violated? Next, I would like to move to the quadrant 3, from an individual consciousness to an organizational consciousness. What is the consciousness of our organization in all the different places where we are located? What are our vision, mission, and core values? Are they aligned to the rights-based approach? What will it take us as a community, as an organization, to make the mindset shift to the rights-based approach? Unless we shift in our paradigm, it is very difficult for us to shift from a needs to a rights-based approach, because it calls us to review our entire intervention. Next, we come to quadrant 2, which are related to the skill sets of the individuals. We ask ourselves, what skills do I have to implement the rights-based approach? For many of us, we are in a system that has been there for years. And we normally learn how to run a program from the person that we are taking over. And what kind of training do we have? What kind of skills do we need to make that shift? And therefore, when this opportunity to be part of the ERI training came about, Good Shepherds in Asia Pacific we are on the brink of finishing our 6 months training on our position papers. And we said, how blessed we are that we have this next 10 weeks to look at this quadrant 2 and to ask each of us, all 49 of us who are part of this training, what do I need to relearn from the way I've been running my ministry, my program, or the Good Shepherd program? And here we have in quadrant 4, what are the changes that need to be done in our interventions, in our policies, in our governance structures to enable our organization to be rights-based? We cannot do a rights-based program unless our internal is rights-based as well. And the most critical thing that we are asking ourselves always is, do we need to review our human resources? Do our human resource match the aspirations of where we want to go to? Our premises, rights-based premises, does it promote the dignity and empower the women and the children who are part of our programs? Do we have the right people in the right roles? These are some of the questions that we ask ourselves. I'm open to questions later on. I was asked to only present for 5 minutes and I will stop here, but I hope that these questions that I've posed will make us reflect further on our programs, because in today's terms and what we are seeing, it is not enough to just do needs-based. We need to be able to incorporate within the needs-based structure to elevate our programs to a rights-based and to challenge ourselves into uncomfortable zones of saying, what are the laws in the country saying? How am I looking at this person and say, what are the rights that this person is entitled to within the country that we are in now? So with that, I just want to say thank you for this opportunity. And I share with you this logo that we have here, which is our next congregational chapter logo, drawn by love, passionate for justice. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Teresa. That was really very powerful. That was the last message from Sister Rita Pays in Goa.